Welcome to Deep Dive with Dr. D. The entire goal of this podcast is to help you see that you have it within you to do amazing things. So welcome to Deep Dive with Dr. D. My guest today is Amy McGuffin. I've known her, we'll talk about that, a long time. She is the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, but we've been talking this morning, and you'll get to hear a little bit of this, I think, on her as a community member, longtime community member. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's see, what's my plug for Deep Dive with Dr. D? I don't know, subscribe if you YouTube or, on any podcast channel. I don't really have anything to plug this week. I will say I'm going down to Ellensburg Community Radio tomorrow because they're going to start plugging podcasts. Okay. So they want to start putting out to the world different podcasts. So I'm going to do that. So that should be good. I also, since it just hit my brain, I've really been enjoying listening to KXLE. Yeah. Like it's a lot of 90s country, and for whatever reason, I'm just really loving it. So, okay.
It's hot. It's on trend.
Yeah, it is.
Henry's done a good job.
He's done a really, really good job. And who doesn't like Henry, right? So, yeah, when he's doing something, you kind of want to jump on. So let's get into this. I like your little notebook. Are you a note taker?
When I'm nervous like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I always do this with students after presentations. And maybe I shouldn't do this with you like right at the beginning, because you to me don't seem real nervous, but what's your nervousness level right now?
3.
Oh, good. You're fine. You're gold. Yeah.
I like to be prepared.
Yes.
And that's going to come pretty much into the answers of preparation. So.
Yeah. I think it's really important. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
So this is the one question that I don't give you is introduce yourself to the world. Who are you? And you can share whatever you want to share. You as an individual, as the executive director, someone who doesn't know you, what would you want them to know about Amy?
Wow. I am married and I have a wonderful husband. I have 2 kids. Mm-hmm. My son Colt is 17. My daughter Maggie is 13. And we live on a farm. We were talking about that today. Yeah, super cool. We have cows, chickens, horses, dogs. So I would say for somebody that doesn't know me, I'm very A-type. Yeah. So a lot of A-type personalities people think are very standoffish or very judgmental. I think I'm the opposite. I love meeting people. I love hearing their stories and understanding them. But a lot of things people don't know about me is I'm a quilter. I love quilting.
That. Yeah, super cool.
And I like preservation. I like canning and freeze drying. I was freeze drying, now for 7 years before it got popular.
Okay.
So I'm kind of a all-encompassed person.
And you live on a piece of property that I was telling Amy, my good friend Steven lived when he was a college student, and he's one of my best friends in the whole world. So I know exactly where you are. It's a good spot.
Yeah.
You have a love for chickens.
They are my ladies.
Yeah. I didn't share that we at our Fifth Avenue house, because in the city you can have up to 4. I think we were illegal because we had 5. That's kind of a joke.
I've heard there's a lot of that.
Yeah, but you can't have roosters.
Right.
But I love chickens. And when I was living out in the cabin I was telling you about, we had chickens, and they are fun. They are a really interesting animal to watch and their behavior. They love their routines.
They love their routines, and I can call them when I come down the driveway, and it's just fun because they're healthy when you can see their little legs, and so it's great.
Who's in charge of your coop?
Me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, good job.
Right now the rooster's struggling, so we've got him separated, and so
all right, super cool.
Yeah.
Tell me about the kids.
Colt, he's on the spectrum. He's he's more of the Asperger autistic. Yep. So he's a very creative dude. He has a lovable, he just cares about people, but yet he doesn't understand his social boundaries. Sure. And so, but he is going to one day, I say, Rose Parade Festival, what are those called? He's going to make one of those design type of topics that are going to be the floats. He's going to create that.
Wow.
So he
Super
has
cool.
a great mind.
Okay.
If you've ever gone to the fair, do you go into the craft area?
Yes.
So he made this large 6-foot sundial character that's like a character from some of the gamings that I'm not very familiar with.
Sure.
So,
but he created that.
He loves paper mache. He loves taking recycled items. Yeah. So. And then Maggie, she's my rootin' tootin' cowgirl. She loves getting her hands dirty. She's wants to be a rancher, and so she loves horses. She used to do rodeo, so she's just kind of my cowgirl, my 70s cowgirl.
Yeah,
not
and
90s.
what grades are we talking?
Going into 8th grade and then junior.
Okay. Wow, so you're busy with them and busy on the farm. And how many cattle did you say you guys have? How many cows?
We have over 30 right now. We're building it.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah.
You're busy. And so we're going to talk a lot about your role as the executive director. So you have that full-time job.
I do.
And your husband, he has a full-time job, I'm assuming?
Yep, he's a union laborer.
Oh, yeah. So he has a job, and then you have the ranch. So you guys are busy.
Yes.
Yeah, super cool.
On the move.
Yeah.
Constant.
So learning just a little bit I learned about you this morning, not a big surprise. I want to share with you, because I'm A-type, right? Kind of extroverted, blah, blah, blah. You've never come off to me as standoffish or unapproachable. Never. Awesome. To me. I think maybe it's the role. You know, you're in a leadership role in our community, but I just want to share that with you from me. And I'm guessing others would say that too, that you don't come off to me as standoffish. So, great. Thank you for the introduction. Oh, wait, how long have you lived in Ellensburg?
I came here in 2005.
Okay.
I was the hotel manager for the Best Western for a very long time.
Oh my gosh. You're kidding.
Yeah.
That's where Katrina and I had our wedding guest stay.
You did.
Is that where we met?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. So in my other life, I was project manager and construction manager for boutique hotels. So projects like Hotel Windrow were my jam. I lived in New York and Rhode Island. And so that's what I did.
Where did you grow up?
Ritzville.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, big old Ritzville.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was that student that was like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, you want to go do stuff.
Yeah, so.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. You want to do a question?
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
You gave me some pretty good questions.
I think these are good ones. So, as executive director of the Kittitas County Chamber of Commerce, you get a unique view of our community. What's something people don't fully realize about what keeps a local community healthy and moving forward?
Well, like I said, I prepared for this because these are some good questions, and you gave it to me so where I could reflect.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I was reflecting this week, and this week was a busy week for the chamber. And we were kind of going all over the place. We just got finished with an event in Cle Elum. Now, our chamber is a regional chamber, so we represent everyone in the Kittitas County.
Huge county, too.
Yes.
A lot going on.
And so had a lot of meetings. And so this question was a really good question because... Ellensburg has their situational difficulties and celebrations, but Cle Elum also, as a community, Cle Elum's going through some growing pains, for sure. Roslyn has a lot of people coming in and out of their community, and so they have a few things. And so I think it was just interesting to reflect on that. And so your question of what keeps a community moving forward, we have found in the last 3 years that operating in silos is not a healthy way for a community to work. And I've seen that from the chamber lens because I've seen a lot of businesses. Let's just give an example. Hillary Jensen at the Jensen Farms
love Hillary.
opened a business, brick and mortar in Cle Elum. But she's still doing pop-up in Ellensburg. She's still doing farmers markets. But you're seeing that quite a bit in the business world. Just because they have a brick and mortar does not mean that they're not operating in a farmer's market realm, or they're doing a pop-up market. And so small businesses are really trying to collaborate and pollinate themselves across the way. I think that's because we have so many messages that are coming at us through platforms, social media platforms, that the community moving forward is about relationships. And Kittitas County is, we'll talk about this later. We have some dynamic relationships, long legacy relationships. And so, like we just recognized today, 2005 is when we first met. And we've just kind of, once in a while, we'll see each other and we can pick up. And that's what friendships are. So operating outside of the silos is really what's happening behind the scenes that's keeping the community together and forward. The other thing that I talked about was, we have a lot of people that invest in what's important to them. And Kittitas County has a quality of life that for a while was not on the map. And then it became on the map. And I think that that preservation of what's really important. And a lot of people talk about that rooted. You know, we're still very rooted here. And I think that's another thing that people don't realize, that's what keeps the community moving forward, because balanced growth doesn't mean that we forget preserving our roots. And so I think that's going to be a piece that I reflected on. I was like, man, relationships are strong. They're rooted just as our generational roots. So I think that's kind of where I went.
I really appreciate what you just shared. It caused me to, I'm a Tacoma boy. I've got it tattooed. I'll always be a city boy at heart, but I've been in Ellensburg since 2001. And I actually moved in 2001 from downtown Puyallup. I always just say Tacoma. And I watched that growth happen from the 80s through the early 2000s, right? How they've just grown tremendously. Sumner's a great example.
Yes.
I lived in Sumner, and now it's almost unrecognizable in a lot of ways. And I think we're experiencing that, but on a slower trajectory, which I think is good, because then we can have leaders who can help manage that. Would you agree with that? Would you say that's the reality for us?
Oh, yeah. I think small increments of growth have been happening over the years.
Yeah.
But because of the passion of the people, we've really slowed down, because people do not want to be overgrown. And I think that's the nice thing about our valley, is we've been able to see the growth of Seattle, growth of Issaquah, growth of North Bend. We start looking at it and we evaluate, nope, don't want that.
We don't want that.
But we're still progressive. We have Central Washington University here. So, but our biggest export right now that we've kind of gathered is our youth. Our youth are our biggest export. So one of the things that I think we have to realize is, in growth, as leaders, we have to ask, what can we do to make them stay? What can we do to encourage them to stay? And I would have to say, one of the opportunities of COVID, which we were talking about, gosh, it's been 6 years, but one of the opportunities of COVID is, as a society, we've gone to remote work from home, flexibility, grace. Like, we have put that family balance and work-life balance together. And I think that's an opportunity for us. I think a lot of people have come back to rural communities because they're getting eaten alive. That's why I left Rhode Island and Boston, was because I was living in probably the same size of room that we're in, and your bookshelves was where I kept my clothes, and I had a couch to sleep on, and I was paying $1,500 for it. And just getting from point A to point B took forever, right? Public transportation, but then at the same time, what quality of life is that to be stuck in a little room, right? And so I called my parents and I was like, I'm coming back. So your parents? Oh, yeah, they lived in Moses Lake. Moses Lake, okay. And so you wanted to come back because you saw, this isn't what I want. I was living on credit cards and in a small room, and that's not quality of life. No. And I think everybody recognizes that. And I heard a saying one time when I was in Roslyn. Roslyn is very heavy in tourism. Big time. And I give it to those business owners because day in and day out, you have to deal with different people.
Yeah.
And those people sometimes aren't rooted to the kindness that we're familiar with or the hospitality. And so one of the things that I heard was they love it so much they want to change it. And when that came to a reality for me, I was like, okay, we need to change that conversation because we love that they love it, but we also want them to be engaged in the incremental growth, not let's just change it because I want that.
Get the buy-in, get
the buy-in, understand, yes, become rooted. Even if they're transplanted, you can still transplant a plant and they can be rooted. So that's where we had to
Interesting,
do that.
but you don't want to rush it.
Right.
You got to be careful with it because
Yeah.
that plant will die.
Yeah.
If you overwater it, if you
Yeah.
grow it too quickly, if you over fertilize it, right?
Yeah.
Huh, that's an interesting analogy. I really like that.
I think that's funny because my favorite plant is the Christmas cactus.
Oh.
And it's a succulent of types.
Yes.
And they're hardy.
Yeah.
But you can put them in a glass of water. You don't have to have any dirt around them. And they can still grow good roots. And until those roots are ready, then you can plant them in the dirt.
Yeah.
Right?
If you plant it too early.
Exactly. And so I think having that transparent opportunity from a leadership perspective, being honest, having a mission that's driving your decisions, being part of it, being involved. And so that's why I say, from our perspective, we want the community to be involved. We want them to come to council meetings. We want them to be heard, because unless that comes out, the leaders are going to just drive on what they think is going to be best. And so I always encourage it, which we have seen in the last year or so.
Yeah.
And it's been different in all levels, right?
Yeah.
Roslyn has had people that have had some differences of opinions. They've come out, Cle Elum, Ellensburg. We probably hear more of it in Ellensburg just because of coverage.
No,
but,
right.
But
it's
Cle
happening
Elum,
all over the county.
Yeah.
Even Vantage.
Oh, yes.
Vantage.
Yeah, the county government is starting to get some changes for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You want to do another question?
Sure.
And I really, before I do that, I really appreciate, and I guess I have a question for you because you're in a key leadership role for our county for this growth. It's happening, right? What's your approach when a new community member comes in and they want to do this really big thing, which is great. Like, I'm a small business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, which I encourage that. But you have the knowledge of the roots in our community, and you kind of go, ooh, how's that conversation for you with that new idea, that new community member who wants to come in here and hard charge and do things? How does that go for you?
Well, it's changed over the years. Like I was talking to Katrina, I've been with the chamber for 15 years.
Yeah.
8 of those years have been as CEO.
Yep.
And one of the things that I'm a believer, so I asked for patience for many of those years. And I believe the Lord just gave me more challenges when I asked for patience.
Isn't that great?
And so I've asked for peace recently. Oh. Not patience, just peace.
Yeah.
And what I have found is I'm much more calmer when somebody comes and has a brilliant idea.
Yeah, sure.
Wow, I really like this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people ask, what does the chamber do? The chamber provides resources and connections. And that's where, by having that calmness, being able to listen to them, and having the historic knowledge of the people that have created the world in which we love, or the community that we love, I've been able to just listen to them and give them substantial connections. Because it's really not going to be up to me.
Right.
And that's another thing that I learned is that creates burnout when you're trying to be the solo person trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And so with that peace, I've been able to just say, you know what, let me get a hold of somebody for you. I'm going to get back to you. I think this is a great idea.
Let me connect you.
We might have to go slow with it. Right?
Yeah.
But then there's some ideas that I'm like, that sounds great. How can the chamber get started with you?
Sure.
Let's do it, right? And that's where we came in with the workforce development and talent pipeline. We have had a great success with connecting with CTE and the schools. And it was because it was a no-brainer. We already had the businesses that we knew, and that was the largest gap that those teachers had, was they didn't know how to connect with the businesses. And we were like, this is up our alley.
Yeah.
So we weren't going to wait.
Yeah.
We were like, let us call so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, and let's get this going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've this last year, I started it on campus. I actually want to roll it out to the community. I've started this program, and it's just about getting to know each other on a more human level, and about being connected with each other. Because when we're, what I say, truly connected, when we know each other outside of our roles, boy, we can get a lot more done. Yeah. And I think you do that in your role as a leader, as you find ways to connect people with those. I'm making an educated guess. You have someone come in, they have this idea, and you think, I know who I need to connect them with, because that person is rooted in the community, and they'll help them see that and understand that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that goes to even the entrepreneurs. There's sometimes I don't have community ideas. I have business ideas that come in. And so a lot of our programs, and this is where the mission-driven piece of the chamber is we evaluated right out of COVID, what is our role? And our role was to provide those connections and the resources. There are some great businesses that have started up in the last 5 years. And we knew by data that if they don't have the support and resources within the first 3 years, they will never make it.
Nope. Yeah.
And these entrepreneurs, it's like all in. It's like at the craps table, and it's like, poof, I'm putting it all in, right? And so we were like, okay, do we have the resources that they need? Do we have the education? Do we have the programs? And that's where we evaluated. So you'll see back in 2020, we used to be heavy in community events. And then you'll notice that the chamber started just kind of giving our parades to other entities and giving some other things, is because that's where that shift was.
Okay.
And the adaptability is what's made us stronger as a resource, because we're not overwhelmed with
having to do all this other
all
stuff.
the other stuff.
Interesting. Super cool.
So
good. Okay. You have 2 more questions for you, and then we'll do some closing questions.
Okay.
Small town leadership can be rewarding, but it can also be exhausting, right?
Yep.
Because of relationships, politics, and community issues. You've already talked about that a little bit. They all overlap. How do you personally stay grounded and avoid burnout in this kind of role?
Well, I kind of touched on it. I was asking for patience, and then I had to turn the conversation of just give me peace. Each person that is involved either in politics, business, they have a personal agenda, and it's not a fault of theirs. It's just a passion. And so realizing that, for me, allowed me to kind of say, people are taking things personal, which they should, because we live and breathe here, right? We're part of the makeup. But for me as the CEO, I don't necessarily have to make my decisions because of a personality difference or a personal attack or anything like that, because I've experienced them all. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it's just realizing to take that time and say, where is this person coming from? Why are the politics coming at us at this direction? How can I get engaged in it? And I think from a citizen standpoint, we are getting that engagement and it's making changes.
Yeah.
But we also have to be understanding of what the importance of that ripple effect of just being kind, being understanding. We're not all going to agree. And so that's where I've kind of balanced it to where there may be a day that I'm like, oh man, that was a doozy one. But I go home and I think about it and just say, okay, I see where their passion is. Okay, how can I help them with this, but not remove myself from it or remove the mission of the chamber from it. And so I think that's a real important piece, because I think society today, there's just a lot of anger. There's a lot of divisiveness. And so just understanding, again, that ripple effect of just being kind and being understanding. And doesn't mean that hard conversations aren't going to happen. But it just is what it is. And I've experienced that in the last 3 years. Speaking of growth, the last 3 years, economic development has been through a planning stage. And everybody that has been involved in it, mayors of Roslyn, Cle Elum, South Cle Elum, commissioners in the county, administration in the city of Ellensburg, all of them have been involved. The chamber's been involved. The downtown associations. There's 3 downtown associations throughout the county. We've all been involved. It hasn't been pretty. There has been name calling. There has been finger pointing. There has been all these things. But when it came down to it, it's about the big picture. And the big picture are those little kids that are downstairs in Katrina's school.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to remove yourself and say, you know what? I can get through this.
Yeah.
Right? And I heard just recently a mom was saying to her kid outside of the chamber, well, did anybody die? And it was like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. But it kind of made sense. Here's a mom coming and saying, we can get through this. Did anything happen that we couldn't fix? And I think there's going to be a lot of those coming up, you know, especially like with some of our communities and their decision making. They're going to be people that are not going to like the decision making of the leaders. What leader have we had in any of our, from federal to, have we completely 100% agreed with?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But what is important is that we're there. We're testifying at the state level. We're getting involved. We're, you know, we're choosing to be part of it. Because I always go back to my mom, that she always says that if you don't ever vocalize it, no one will know that you want to be heard. And so if you stay quiet and complain, it just, it undermines it. And so we don't want to be undermining. We want to be understanding. And so
I was just thinking this morning, I really appreciate what you just said about kindness. Because I talk a lot, you know, be kind. And I think you'll agree with this, that we can say what we need to say and still be kind. It doesn't mean that you just have to sit back and let things happen. You can have boundaries, you can be respectful and be kind all at once. And I think right now, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of that going on. And I think that our community is in a good place to maybe bring that back. You know, we don't see a lot of it locally. I think with some issues that we've had recently, we've seen it kind of crop up. But, you know, my mom, she went through a lot, you know, but she taught us, you know, you can be a good human. And I think you and I are of an age where we remember, where it's like you respect others, you respect adults, you respect elders, respect each other. And I'm guessing that you obviously you see the good and the bad of this. And it makes my heart happy. I knew this before you came on this podcast, that you're a leader out there modeling this. And that's what we need for our, you know, downstairs is the preschool. We need the adults in the room to model this behavior because our kids are watching.
Oh, yeah.
I always say that. Our kids are watching us. And so what do we want our future leaders to be? So I purchased your Audible of your book. Oh, and okay. I remember you saying that, you know, now that your grandson and, you know, and I just really appreciate that because even adults are watching. And and so it's one of those things, and I say to my staff, and they probably roll their eyes when I say it, because I say it quite often, is in the leadership role that I have, do you know the biggest hurdle that I have? Humans. Yeah, it is. It's the humans. Everything else, policy, procedures, everything else, we can think about it. We can chew it up, spit it out, whatever. But it's the humans. And I tell you right now, humans are all over the place right now. I have different requests from my humans and within my organization that it was even told to me on Friday. You do so many different things because, you know, everybody's so different. And I'm like, imagine that being a leader and having so many people with different things and different ideologies and different pieces that are passion to them. It's like, that's the only one thing I have in my leadership is humans. Yeah. That's consistently different. Yeah, very. I teach IT management and I tell future cybersecurity professionals and data analysts and all this, who are, some of them are kind of the techie kids. I'm like, hey, listen, I got bad news for you. And they're like, what? You're going to be dealing with humans. Yeah. And because this computer, I can fix that. Yep. I can tell it what to do and it's going to do it. And I can problem solve that and it'll behave how I want it to. Humans, whole different animal, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very good. Yeah. And I think preparing for today, it's about my role as a leader is still to be coachable. Yeah. Oh, and in the last 3 or 4 years, I've had a lot of coaching
opportunities from other leaders. And I think that's what makes a great leader is they humble themselves enough to listen to those teachable moments.
Be approachable, be teachable. You know, I'm turning 59, crazy to think, and I've still got a lot to learn.
Yep.
Got a lot to, you know, having kids and grandkids helps you with that.
Yeah.
You know, we think we got it all figured out. Well, they tell us different. Who have been your mentors along the way?
You know, my mom has been a huge mentor for me. So a little bit about me. So my dad is a butcher by trade, and my mom was the rapping lady.
Yeah, sure.
And
before rap was even a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
And I remember growing up in Ritzville, and we would fair time. My dad. It was the busiest time for my dad. And I have 5 kids in the family, 4 brothers. That tells you a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That tells you a lot. And I remember there were long days. We were down there with our parents till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
But those were the times where I learned the most, right? Family is important. Your religion or your belief
faith
system is just as important to people. And taking that in and just using that on a daily for me is, I think, the greatest blessing that my parents gave me. They're still together, which is kind of a phenomenon in this world today, is their love. Love will, if you have an experience of love, you will start seeing the kindness. You'll see the charity. You'll see the understanding in your life. And so I really try to, my love language is gifting. I like to give things. I like to use my creativity. I'm a quilter. And so it means a lot to me to make a quilt and give it to somebody. Knowing very well, it's probably not that important as to me giving it to them as them receiving. And in this world today, there are givers and there are takers. And I feel like we're out of balance. There's a lot of takers.
Yeah.
And so
in a lot of different ways too.
Yeah.
Emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah. So mentorship wise, I don't have one person stand out.
Yeah.
I have so many people that I've learned from. There's been several in my life when I've made, as a 21-year-old, made a decision. And I remember my boss coming to me and she sat me down and said, all right.
What are you thinking?
Okay. If you're going to continue in this professional career, you don't do this.
Yeah.
And I consider that as a mentorship.
Yeah, it's huge.
Consistently as my parents, I would have to say. But I've had so many others. I was an au pair for my niece in Boston. That's how I got over to the East Coast. And my brother, I just remember my brother. He didn't live with us because when we moved to Ritzville, we came from Southern Idaho, and the high school that he was in had a lot more offering than a rural school. And so he chose to stay. So he was 16 when we moved. And so he was out of our house. And I just remember looking up to him. And so he's somewhat of a mentor for me. And so each one of my brothers are in a different career paths. And so we've had a really great family dynamic where we share a lot of things. My youngest brother is here in Ellensburg, but no one would never know. He has his thing that he does. I'll just kind of do a shout out if I can.
Yes.
Ye and Tay, the Korean barbecue, is my brother and his significant partners.
I'm super excited for them. I've been watching the journey of that building, the remodel and everything.
Yeah, so you talk about chamber connections, calling Joel and saying, hey, what you doing with the smoke shop? And he's like, what do you got? I was like, I got a Korean barbecue coming in.
Oh my gosh, that's your brother.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so those are things, I have several mentorship opportunities.
And you speak to my belief about your circle of influence, having, I say 4 or 5 people that you talk to that influence you. You influence them and the importance of that. And I want to share with you on quilting.
Yeah.
We have Sheet Week every week. We used to do videos. It started during COVID, but every Saturday morning I change the bedding. And this morning, and I got chills. So I want you to know the meaning of it. My Aunt Lois, who I hope she watches this one, she lives in Mansfield, little old Mansfield.
Yeah.
She's a quilter.
Oh.
And on our bed right now are the 2 quilts she made us.
Oh.
And mine is my Indian motorcycle, and hers is her sunflower.
Oh.
And it's super meaningful to me.
Oh,
it's
that's
hugely
so awesome.
meaningful that she took the time to design and get my input and make this quilt that is like means the world to me. Right. And I'm going to also share with you that my mom she didn't quilt, but she crocheted blankets for me. And she's not with us anymore. And those blankets mean the world to me. So it's really meaningful what you do. So my educated guess is that it might mean more than maybe you think, you know.
Maybe.
So, yeah.
So can I add to that?
Please.
My interview for the CEO position.
Yeah.
I had I don't know how many people are going to know this, but I had a
okay.
felt board.
Oh.
And I had squares, and I made a quilt design, and in each of the squares, I likened it unto the importance of the chamber and the fabric of life that the chamber brought.
Oh, wow.
To it. And
Wow.
so I took my passion of quilting and brought it into my interview. And I remember the person that was in the board at the time, he was against me having the opportunity. And I only know this because after they made the decision to hire me, he came and he said, it did it. Your interview
Oh my gosh.
was because he remembered the importance of the quilts that his grandmother made and all
my
this.
gosh.
And so by stitching together that quilt block in my interview showed that I can stitch together a community. I can stitch together small businesses.
And it brought him around.
And so
Isn't that interesting?
quilting has been
That's so
my
cool.
relaxation.
Yeah.
But it does mean a lot to a lot of people. So thank you for sharing
Yeah,
your
like
story.
I love like my quilt, and Katrina loves hers too. She got hers first, Aunt Lois. Anyway, but yeah, super cool, very meaningful.
Yeah.
Okay, guess what? Last question for you,
Oh,
and this gets to really just kind of, I'm sure, energize you. So looking ahead.
Yeah.
What excites you about the future of Ellensburg and Kittitas County? Because Kittitas County is big, and it's got Cle Elum, and it's got Roslyn, and it's got Kittitas and Vantage. And where do you think we still need to grow? So what excites you, and where are the areas that you think we need to grow?
Well, what excites me, and we've talked about this throughout the time today, which, by the way, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
I never did say thank you.
Oh, I have an ask for you. I want to get more leaders on this podcast.
Okay.
So here's my ask. Get me my next leader.
Okay.
Help me out.
I'll
So
do
you
that.
can share with them. This is what it is.
Okay, sounds
There's
good.
no surprise questions.
Okay.
I'm not here to go, hey, what about this? I'm here to have a conversation.
I love it.
So there you go.
Well, if your watchers have some ideas, put it in there and I'll watch for them and
Yeah.
I'll see if I can connect you.
Yeah,
So,
great. Perfect.
So what I'm excited for is I am excited for the growth that is happening because I do want to say to people, it is a very aware notion that we don't want to overgrow or grow too fast. The leaders that are involved are very curious in what our capacity is and what is a good balanced growth. Most of, if not all of the leaders that are involved in the discussions, I have never heard one of them not say, we have to preserve our rural character. And so I'm excited to see how we can come together. I know there are going to be buildings that are going to be erected that people are not going to agree with. We understand that. But again, our biggest export is the youth of our group, of our community. So peeling back
keep them?
that, we're asking ourselves, how can we make it more affordable for our families, our children, to stay in the community in which we raised them because we chose this community is the best place for them
We're
to
saying
live.
this is the best place to live, but our kids are leaving.
They're leaving.
So how can we keep them?
How do we keep them in there? And I get it, because remember, I was from Ritzville.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Sure.
I remember the day of my graduation, my car was packed and I was
ready
on
to
the
go.
road. I was done,
And
right?
some of that's normal.
It's normal.
Right.
We're
but
teenagers.
also, how can we keep the one? And I hear this a lot in Ellensburg. In fact, I have the album Eagles Hotel California. I attribute Ellensburg to the song Hotel California. You can come, but you can never leave. Yeah. We have a lot of transplant. Like, it was not permanent for me, but here I am 26 years later. And I hear a lot of young people. I think of Andy Rossback, a really close friend of mine. He left.
Yeah.
And he came back.
Yeah.
So how can we make it livable for those that leave and come back or want to stay, don't want to leave? We have a lot of Central students that love Ellensburg.
Yep.
But they leave because they have to find a job elsewhere. So
okay, well, let's just do this. So I've been interested in doing a podcast for Chamber, and I've been working with Jared Vallejo about communications.
Great.
And we were going to call it Mythbusters, but that's already been taken.
Okay.
But
yeah, sure.
So I'm going to just put it out there on your podcast. Let's see if we get some conversation.
Yeah.
I get the struggle with the Winco building. I get it. 100% get it, right?
Yeah.
I struggled with it.
It's big.
It's huge.
It's ugly.
It's
I don't want to say ugly, but it's big. It's gaudy.
It's different.
It's very different.
Right?
Yeah.
And, I hear it from my husband. Ruined the landscape. I've heard it from other people. It's ruined the landscape. And I get it. And I can be empathetic in regards to that. But we were talking today. Your IT students, this is a prime opportunity. The electronics and the robotics that are going to be there. This is the world we're in. We have progressed so much. I mean, we've gone from IBM computers to Apple computers to in our hand computers, right?
Yeah.
And so it's an evolution of progression. And so by us being able to provide that for the students coming into the Winco facility, there's other opportunities that we have. And one of the things that we've been talking a lot about as the circle of leadership is, agricultural technology is growing and is huge, right?
Yeah.
And so we asked the question, how can we get some of those companies coming here and they're using our farmers, our ranchers, to test their products, to evaluate what it looks like for extreme weather, or we talk about this integration and the divide of Central Washington University being here in this town. We have a great opportunity. Yeah. We have an opportunity from perspective of, I don't know if very many people know, but Central Washington is the main hub for some of the aquatic main weather channels. It's here. They're doing it. The students are working it. And so to come to a company that wants to come to Ellensburg and build the mechanics that they're using to rate the tsunamis that are coming across the world from little old Ellensburg is amazing opportunities. Those are things that are great. But we have we have the legacy businesses here. I just talked with Mark Anderson last week because I was at a meeting and somebody was saying, oh, Hay's going to go away. Hay's not going to go away because we have leaders like Mark Anderson and his family that are going to stick with it. Is it going to be as elevated as they have been in the years past? No, we've seen that, right? He's had to make structural changes and changes. And so one of the things to your questions was how successful or how our long-term decision making is going to be for our businesses. They have to be adaptable leaders. Yeah. They have to see what's coming down the pipeline and making those decisions. Those decisions are not going to always be pretty decisions to the community members or residents or citizens. They're all going to talk about it. Yeah. We get it. Yeah. But we're talking about being rooted in our roots, legacy businesses, and supporting them. Agriculture is still agriculture for this area, and we're going to do our best to keep it. Growth is happening. People are going to start coming. We're going to recruit businesses here. I ideally would love it at the industrial park. I've talked about that for years, that we need to build that industrial park. Winco is here. We're going to have some growing pains with Winco. The trucks, we're going to figure it out. Yep. We can see it. We can figure it out. The conversations are happening. Yep. Infrastructure. Yeah. I think that's where we're going to need to grow. I'm coming back to that question. Yeah. we need to invest in an infrastructure. We're seeing that in a conversation with Ellensburg, whether it's the memorial pool, it's activities for our kids, infrastructure, water, utilities.
Basic services.
Each one of the municipalities in this county have those struggles. Roslyn has water issues. South Cle Elum has water issues. We are aware our infrastructure is dilapidated, and we understand that. So now we're focusing on that as leaders. And so it's getting involved into those leadership discussions are really important. And I think that's where our growth is going to need is we still need to invest in infrastructure. We still need to invest in workforce development and talent pipeline.
Yeah.
That has to come with recruitment, right? And I think the other thing is we still have to work hard at making living here affordable. Because even though we may live here for generations, I've been here since 2005, and I can't believe the prices that are that are happening, right? We hear it about property tax. We hear about utility increases, everything like that. So we have to be mindful that we don't outgrow the people that have lived here in price points with the balance of recruiting and keeping the talent here too. And so we're kind of in a crossroads, as they would say. And so it's exciting, but yet it's kind of nerve-wracking of the decision-making and the leadership that's here.
It's interesting.
And so...
You know, I've heard this conversation. Oh, so I came with Fred Meyer.
Yes, you did.
That's what brought me here.
Yeah.
And I remember when Fred Meyer came, that was a big deal.
I think you stayed at the hotel for your first week that you
Probably did. Probably did. And I remember those conversations. The chamber, they came down and there were tours of the building and there were people on both sides. Like, oh my God, it's the devil. It's the worst thing ever. And I'll never forget, this was the greatest conversation I had with this. I don't remember who it was, but this lady came in. Her thing was, you know what? Finally, I can buy a brassiere in this town in my size. Right?
There you go.
And it's interesting to me, 26 years later, 25 years later, that Fred Meyer is still it. That me and Katrina, when we want to do real shopping, we have to go to Yakima.
Yeah.
And we've experienced a lot of growth in 25 years. Do you think that's going to change?
See, that's another episode in the Mythbusters. It's going to change. We talked earlier about incremental changes. Look at the incremental changes that we have. We have some fantastic small boutique hotel here in town, but we have boutique retail that has now given a different offering. We've built things in the downtown. Almost all three of our downtown cores in the county have things that are changing. That are we've become foodie popularity.
Big time!
Right? We
Lots
have
of
a
food
great
options.
choice of food.
Lots of food.
But
options.
look, we don't have any. We don't have any large sit-down branded restaurants.
No.
It's all locally owned, operated. But the Taco Bell and the fast food and all that stuff, right?
That's different.
We don't have the Texas Roadhouse. We don't have, we don't have these large places. It's going to change because our population is going to change. And so I'm going to just say it on here. Trader Joe's, I know it's a popular want. But it's all based on
we don't
population.
Have the population.
Yeah. And so as we grow, our population's going to grow. You're going to start seeing some of these larger entities look at us. I've also said in the economic development world and conversations, they're already looking. Don't think that they're not looking. They just do it from a statistic and data decision. Population.
Density.
Affordability, really. I always say that when somebody comes in here, you can't expect the locals to maintain you. You have to have other insertions. And that's why tourism is important. I know a lot of people are like, we don't want tourism. Well, I'm in the added mind. If you build it for the tourist, it's a gift for the locals. So now we're going to go back to infrastructure. If you build it for tourists, the locals will have a gift. And so those are some of the things that, like when the water park wanted to come in, right?
Remember that.
But all their numbers were not local numbers. They were like, how can we draw the tourists here? And there just wasn't enough draw from that perspective. So I do think things are going to change. It's going to be incremental. It's going to be, if you're not engaged, you're going to think it came out and you didn't know it was happening.
Where'd this come from?
Yeah, why'd this happen?
Were you listening? Were you going to meetings? Were you
Exactly.
participating in conversations? Yeah.
And so, and if social media is not your space, because who knows who's putting what out, right?
Yeah.
Support your local newspaper.
Yeah.
Yes, they have their growing pains, but sometimes they're in those meetings and they're reporting those things that are happening. And so those are some of the things. Come to chamber meetings.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a member to come to our chamber meetings. Would we love for you to be a chamber member? Absolutely. And we talk about incremental. If every single business invested in the Chamber of Commerce, our voice would be larger in some of those larger decisions. I can only be in certain places. I can only have certain amount of employees that are managing different things. And so it's an incremental piece that we have to grow together and be part of and engaged together. So those are some of the things that I think are going to be, we're going to see it. But you do have some leaders right now that are very much putting a halt, making a decision that is based on facts, data. Can we do it? Are we capable of maintaining this? So I think we're really going slow about it, but it's going to happen.
Good.
It's going to happen.
All right. Before we go to the closing 2 questions, you've been with the Chamber for 15 years. This has hit my brain a couple of times to ask. What has been like your feather in your cap, your one that you're most proud of? Like mine in the community has been the KCRCO, which is now Peers Rising, supporting friends and that's been like, I'm really proud of that one. What's your proudest achievement, and what's been the one where you've been like, ooh, that was a struggle? That was like, man, that was really, really hard.
I told you that I reflected on a lot of your questions.
Yeah.
But with reflection, you come up with your own thoughts and how my leadership has been in the last 15 years, because I was director of tourism for those first few years. Okay. You asked the question about mentorship. I'm going to answer the same question, the same way with what I'm proud of.
Yep.
I have been involved in a lot of firsts in this county.
A lot.
And I thought about that, and those are my proudest moments of being able to be part of the first, to give them the resources to build themselves to be here today. A lot of it was in that reflection. I was like, I forgot about that. But that's my proudest moment, is being being in the first, or being in the at the table, and assisting them. And so it's both from a small business perspective and community events. I was part of Buskers in the Berg at the first. Dachshunds on Parade. I was helping the McKean, is it McKean family, I think. Senior Bones coming to Ellensburg. I was part of that, helping him find locations. Bears and Bronx just happened, and I saw on the poster 18th year, and I'm like, wow, oh, good golly, I was there. Wow. Cle Elum Roundup. I was part of it when we were sitting in the recycle. I don't know if many people know this, but the first one was in this cleared lot that used to be a glass recycling lot. Wow. And we cleared it out, and we were like, let's hope that we get all the glass, right? Gosh, yeah. And I remember those were the pain points, because in the rodeo world, the horses are their assets, right? And so when barrel racers were dropping out because they were seeing glass around it, we were like, we didn't,
this isn't good. Yeah.
And so those first were proud moments, but they were learning moments too at the same time. The Washington State Horse Park, I was part of the first initial pieces of that. I was the interim director of the Cle Elum Downtown Association when they were just going to dissolve. Those are things that I'm like, wow, it's the firsts, or it's the at the tables are my proudest moments. For the chamber itself directly, I am proud to be with over 100-year-old organization that had the validity back then as it does now. We are engaged. We are involved in a lot of things. We advocate for businesses in the background. We're not as loud as some chambers. Some chambers are pretty loud in the advocacy. But I truly believe we're going to come back to those relationships. I would say I have some really good relationships, and that's going to lead me to my oh darn it. I have a lot of oh darn it, and it really comes down to the relationship. Like any other leader, I have people that probably don't fit well with me, and that's okay. And those are probably my biggest darn it's, is because I really pride myself in trying to be resourceful and being there for
being
people.
Someone can come to. And,
yeah. And so knowing very well that I haven't hit all the marks, even as a human. It saddens, it just does. But at the same time, those are the uncontrollable moments that you just can't take it personally, because our mission is to be a resource. And if that resource just doesn't work for somebody, you just got to bless it and let it go, kind of thing. And that's what I've learned with the peace, right? Let me have patience with this person. Well, they're going to challenge you. It's just like having a teenager. I can teach them, but they're going to push against me. Well, if you just get angry all the time, you're never going to build that relationship. But if you slow it down, be calm, be strategic in what your process is, I think people will have the respect. I think most of the people that I may have had those darn it moments with, I would say they probably respect me. We just don't see eye to eye on certain things. And so I hope I answered your question. I'm really sorry I don't have any like specific, like Peers Rising. That was such an incredible feat for you. And the chamber supported them in Cle Elum for expansion. And Brandy's doing a great job.
Doing amazing.
And, listening to your book, I just kind of, I haven't had as difficult of a life. I've been pretty blessed, but I've also seen people to where I can be humble in their experiences, and I can kind of have that understanding for them. I don't understand their life. I don't understand, but I think it's incredible. We have some great people in this community.
Do. Well, I appreciate you sharing the first. I think that's honest. Not comparing levels, but I've had some first along the way, and I think when you're at the table or you've done some first, those are really cool memories to have. And I would make an educated guess that you are well respected, even by those who maybe you haven't agreed with, because just this conversation, you and I have had other conversations along the way. Like I said earlier, you're a go-getter, you're A-type, but you're approachable and you're kind and you're respectful, and I would argue that probably those people that maybe you had those moments with would say they still respect you. So thank you for all of this. This has been good. Okay, we're going to wrap this up with 2 closing questions.
Okay.
So if someone out there is listening, maybe an entrepreneur, maybe a young female who wants to be a strong, independent, forward-thinking leader like you, maybe someone who's out there and they just had one of those, I forget what you call it, those oopsie moments, or they kind of tripped and fell. What piece of hope and wisdom would you give to that person out there listening?
The old adage, get up, do it again. Just maybe do it a little bit different, but just get up, just keep trying.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's very full of wisdom, but I have taken so many opportunities to try to push the chamber, and I always start my conversation with, okay, we're shifting. I'm just giving you a fair warning. We're just shifting. And I think my staff is like, okay, we're shifting. What does this mean?
Yeah.
But
we don't always know what it means.
We don't. And it's like, I believe people are given certain skills in their lives, and my skill is gut. I have a really good gut, and I think.
Where does that come from?
Having 4 brothers and hardworking parents.
I was going to say your parents. I think you shared the story of the butcher shop and that experience. You didn't even go into a lot of detail, but I'm guessing there was a lot of experiences in that where it taught you this gut.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I reflect a lot. I didn't realize that when I was younger. I probably didn't when I was younger. I was like in the moment, right? But as I get older, I reflect a lot. like I reflect on my decision. I reflect on my conversations. Like today, after we end, I'm going to go to church
be a lot of
and I'm going to
reflecting.
reflect and I'm going to be like, okay, kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And so
there's wisdom in reflecting,
I think the pause is an amazing thing. So, get up, do it again. But your influence, the circle of influence that you were talking about, I have great people around me. And the old adage too of you always put somebody in your team that knows more than you. I have a strong team. And they know a lot more than I do. And I think it's funny, you see these YouTube videos or these TikTok videos of generational gap. That's what we're experiencing in our workforce right now. I mean, there are people that are still 60 plus that are working, right? But then you've got 16, 14, 16-year-olds trying to get into the workforce. And sometimes we just kind of hit our head on the wall. But at the same time, it's that generational gap that, they make fun of employers that ask, okay, how do you do this again? Because I don't understand it. And it's literally me almost every day. Okay, I tried it. Canva, help me out here. Like, I'm missing a step. And then they tell me, and I'm like, oh,
Thank you.
This is so great. And so we talk about like AI and stuff like that. And I really loved it. I went through a guest service training just recently. And AI is fabulous, but it starts with a human. AI it, end it with a human, right? And I just was like, I love it. The layers in our life is who created who I am today. And so the wisdom, I think, is take the pause, get back up, surround yourself with good people, and at times, don't listen to the negativity because it's out there at all times.
And that's not anything new, is it? I mean, it's really loud right now, but in our lives, there's always going to be... I thought of this earlier. I appreciate what you said. You started out with keep moving, get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving. And you add to that, listen, be reflective, take that time for the pause, surround yourself with good people, right? But keep going. Right? Get up and keep going. We've had negativity in the world forever. That's nothing, anything new in our own brains with other people. And you just said it at the end, and then we're going to close this up where you get to ask me a question. This is where I get nervous. Oh God. But I say it in this way, and I think you'll appreciate this. Delete the naysayers. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be, the more successful we are, the more that kind of gets loud in some ways, whether it's in our own brain or our actual people trying to bring us down. So don't let the naysayers get you down. Yeah. Okay, here it is. What is something you've always wanted to ask me?
Okay. Well, this one I really thought about.
Oh, boy.
Yes. What are you going to do after CWU?
Oh, boy. That's a good one. What am I going to do after CWU? So I actually just had a conversation. So retirement, it's something that I've started thinking about as far as when I'm going to leave CWU. So 10-ish years. And what would I do after that? That's a good question.
10 years is short. I mean, look at COVID was 6 years ago.
It's going to come fast. So when I think about that, I think about the work that I have a lot of passion for, and that's in the arena. It's kind of this global thing, helping people see they have it within them to do amazing things.
Awesome.
Now, a lot of my work has been in the recovery arena. Is it open a treatment center? That's in my brain. It's not constant, but it's a lot of times in my brain. In our county, we don't have inpatient treatment. If someone needs treatment, they have to go elsewhere. I think it would be great to have it here. That could be it. I'm an entrepreneur, so I've always got stuff in my brain, doggy daycare, like, oh my God, that would be great. We actually have plans to expand the preschool. So will it be in that arena? It could be in that arena. So there'll be something. David's never, who was I just talking to about this, about people retire and then they die. Because they don't have something going on. They don't have passion. They don't have... Anyway, so I don't have a clear answer for that. What's next after Central? Because I've got a little bit of time there. But there you go.
Yeah. I reflected that question for you because I've been asked recently, what's your next career? And I was
Wow. Okay.
Never really thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
My joke is if to my friends and family, if I ever disappear, I've gone truck driving. I have a fascination for long haul trucking. I did it briefly out of the military.
yeah.
I would get bored so quick that it probably wouldn't happen for long, but I love semi trucks, and
Oh, yeah.
that's a whole sidebar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. This has been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Thank you so
appreciated this a
much.
lot. So that's it. We're done.
Okay.
Now we do, are you a hugger?
I can
Okay.
be. Yes.
Yeah. This is good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks for listening to Deep Dive with Dr. D. You can follow me on my other social media channels by clicking the link in the description.